Hey, good morning, everyone. We're starting a little bit later today, but that's okay. Today is the 23rd of Iyar. It's a Wednesday morning. It's raining. I'm in the car. Obviously, you can see I had my daughter's dinner party this morning in Cheder, Morristown, so I had to run. I run out early, so we're catching up here. We're going to start with counting the Omer. Let's say together, Hayoim, Shmoina, Ushloishim Yoim, Deim Chamisha Tavui, Ushloishim Yomim LaOmer. Today is 38 days, which is 5 weeks and 3 days of the Omer. Okay, put the book back. And we'll continue in the Chayenu on page 118, another good number, 118. 23rd of Iyar. So we begin chapter 51, Perek Nun Aleph in Tanya. And having established previously that the ultimate purpose of man's existence, or even and especially following the most burning love and desire for Hashem, is to make God's oneness here on earth, give God an opportunity to have a dwelling place on earth. Tanya will now address the revelation of godliness, its meaning, and how we can affect it. In today's lesson, the analogy of the soul-body relationship provides key insights into the godliness-universe relationship. We're going to use the person's physical body as a relationship between the soul and body, and God and the universe, both in terms of being everywhere equally while simultaneously residing primarily in a specific place. Perek Nun Aleph, chapter 51. So the Tanya tells us in its title page that the entire work is based on the pasuk, this thing, the Torah, is very near to you, in your mouth, in your heart, so that you may do it. And the concluding phrase that you may do it implies that the ultimate purpose of the entire Torah is to fulfill the mitzvahs in practice, actually do a physical mitzvah. So in order to clarify this, chapter 35 began to explain the purpose of the entire order of chain of descent in all the spiritual realms, God coming down into this world and ultimately creating the universe as we know it. Now, chapter 51 is going to teach us of the Yanuka. What's the Yanuka? That this light of the Shekhinah needs oil. Every flame needs fuel in order to burn. So the light, what light we're going to talk about? The Zohar, oil refers to the sphere of Chachma, wisdom. And here, the Yanuka takes it to refer to good deeds. So the good deeds are the fuel for the fire. So let's think of what's the fire, what's the fuel. We're going to discuss that in a moment. What is the connection between a practical mitzvah and oil, which refers to Chachma? Further explanation of the words of the Yanuka mentioned earlier. So we're going way back to chapter 35. You'll have to look it up. The beauty of YouTube, you could probably search it there on our page, where the Yanuka was quoted as saying that the light of the Shekhinah which dwells upon a Jew needs oil. Remember over there we said that the Jew, there's a candle, there's the flame which is on our head. Candle is like the vessel is like our body, and the wick needs oil in order to burn. So what's the oil? The Yanuka says that the Jew needs oil, meaning good deeds. But what do good deeds and oil have in common? Which usually refers to Chachma. The first, let's back up. Let's explain, so that we can understand a little bit the concept of the Shekhinah, the dwelling of God, that it dwelt in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies. So indeed, there are detailed laws defining the marks of respect due to the Holy of Holies because of the dwelling of the Shekhinah. It was the most holy place on earth. And the holy high priest, the Kohen Gadol, would only go in there once a year on the day of Yom Kippur to fulfill the service of the Jewish people. And if we're talking about Holy of Holies, where God dwells everywhere. So what does this concept mean? Or even, let's say, in a shul, in a holy site, by the Bet HaMikdash, by the Western Wall. What does it mean when we say that a particular location is where the Shekhinah wants to dwell? What does that mean? Isn't God in the whole entire world? What do you mean in one particular place? So the Alter Rebbe now goes on to explain that the Shekhinah's dwelling, quote unquote, upon something means the revelation of that aspect of God's presence known as the Shekhinah. So although we know that God exists everywhere, his existence is concealed. But when the Shekhinah dwells upon something, then there's an experience of revelation of godliness. Excuse me. In the Kodesh HaKadoshim, in the Holy of Holies, in the Beis HaMikdash, there was more of a revelation of godliness than anywhere else. The key to understanding this subject can be found in the text when it says, "And from my flesh I see God." The Alter Rebbe understands these words literally. We see God within ourselves. We're talking about the Holy of Holies, that there's revelation of God. And now the Alter Rebbe flips on a dime and he says, if you want to see God, look within yourself. So now he brings an analogy. The analogy is the human soul pervades all the 248 organs of the body from head to foot, from the highest part of the body to the lowest part of the body. There's no way you'll ever see, we can't say that the soul is not in my leg. It's only in my heart. I only have a soul in my heart. No. The soul is in you. In you encompasses your entire being. But we could also say, as we've learned in the Tanya, that the soul originates, specifically the godly soul we're talking about, originates in the mind, in the brain. And then it's diffused throughout the entire body, through all the other organs. And where does it mostly reside? We also mentioned this yesterday, in the right side of the heart. So that's where the brain the soul starts. The brain, it resides mostly in the heart, but it really is throughout the entire body. Moreover, each organ receives from the neshama of the soul a different form of life force and power appropriate to it according to the organ's composition and character, which means to say, the eye receives from the soul the life force and the ability to see, and the power of sight accords with the smooth and translucent nature of the tissue of the eye, which is very delicate. It's very different than the power of, let's say, your bicep or your fist. The eye is very delicate and sensitive. There's a lot of intricate parts and details. And an ear is completely different than an eye. So the ear receives from the soul a life force and ability to hear. I don't know if you can see behind me, but it's raining. I'm sitting in the car, and it's coming down, and it's hitting the roof of the car. But anyway, I hope you can hear me clearly. And the soul gives the mouth the ability to speak, and feet to walk. So each organ of the body, according to its needs, are serviced and given the power from the soul. So the soul, so to speak, dwells in them, however much it needs to give them the ability to hear, to see, to walk. So we see clearly. We see clearly, and we sense how in the brain, one is conscious of all that occurs within the body, all the 248 organs, and of everything experienced by them. Because the brain is the nerve center and the principal abode and the source of the life source of the entire body. So if your toe is hurting you, your brain is registering that. If it's not registering it, it's a problem, because then you don't know there's a problem there. but that's for a different conversation. But any part of your body that you feel, even if it hurts a little, it means it's alive, it's connected, it's a part of you. Problem is when you don't feel anything, that's even more scary than when you feel some pain. It means you have your arm hurts. Good, you have an arm. So the variation in receiving the functional powers and life force by the organs of the body from the soul, each organ receiving from the soul a life force and power in different form. So again, receiving from the soul of a life force and a power in different forms is not derived from the soul's essence and being. That we should say that its being and essence is divided into 248 parts, which are enclosed in 248 locations, according to the design of the various locations of the body's organs. It doesn't work like that. The neshama knows where it's needed most. It's spread out throughout the entire body. But it's not like, okay, part of the soul has to be here and part of the soul has to be there. It just knows where it needs to be. If not, then we would say that the soul itself, within the soul, there would already be revealed and differentiated various functional powers of sight, hearing, and so on. And that these 248 powers which exist within the soul are enclosed in the body's 248 organs, each at its appropriate location. That's not the way it works. We don't accept that approach. So according to this, it would follow that if that would be the case, it would follow that the soul's essence and being is designed in a physical design and a likeness and structure similar to the structure of the body, God forbid. It's not. The soul is spiritual in nature. It's not bound to time and space the way a body is. Just as the organs of the body have various shapes and forms, so according to this outlook are the functional powers, while still within the soul, different from each other in form. But again, we don't accept this. The soul is spiritual. And it is, number one, a single entity, and number two, a spiritual entity. Pashat and Mushat, we call Tzir Gashmi and Bechinas together, Mokim, Umido, Gvul Gashmi. As a single entity, its oneness is plain and simple as a spiritual entity. Its spirituality is in a form which is divested of any physical design and any type of definition of physical space, measure, or limitation. You could ask, what do you mean? If a neshama is not bound to time and space, how is it within my body? Now, we're not going to get into this now, but I'll just give you an idea, a concept that the neshama, if you've ever been to Chabad shul in particular, but maybe other shuls also do this, that when a person is davening, either on a yard site or for the year of Kaddish, they light 5 candles. And the 5, you say, everyone has one neshama. Yes, but there are 5 levels of the soul. Nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. So the lowest level of the neshama, nefesh, is what gives us life. That's the part that's within our body. But there's part of the soul that's above, and we go all the way up to yechida. Yechida means one, and what is it one with? One with God. If it's one with God, then it's not confined to the physical body. So the soul is transient. Part of the soul is with us. It gets recharged at night. It's a complicated entity, if you will. It's hard to describe it because we're human beings trying to describe something which is spiritual, but the neshama is inside of us and also not inside of us at the same time. The mitzad mehusav so the soul is free of any dimensions by virtue of its intrinsic being and essence. The fact that it's spiritual in nature, it is not and cannot be confined to a specific time and place, because a spiritual being, like a malach, they're not, it's a different structure. So the soul is so plain and free of all of these that that even when it is actually enclosed within the organs, they cannot affect any change in the soul. Maybe temporarily, the lowest part of the neshama, when you do something negative, you're drawing it along with you. Dark colors that it's in. Just like God in the world, which you're going to get to in a moment, when the world is going through a difficult darkness. So God's also part of it because he's sustaining the world. He's the soul and the heartbeat of the world. So when we go through something difficult, the neshama comes along with us. But it doesn't change the neshama, because the neshama is not bound to time and space or bound to the physical world. Don't forget, the neshama is a part of Hashem. It's before it comes down into this world, it's there forever because if it's part of Hashem, it was never created. It was always there before because it's just a piece, a portion of Hashem. And a person lives 70, 80, 120 years, God willing, passes on, the neshama returns to God. So who is the true you? What's your true essence? Your physical body, your brain, your personality, your character, your makeup, your skill set. No, the essence is your neshama. So your neshama, you are truly eternal. Your physical body has a stint. Is that what it's called? Like a cameo in this world for a short time. And we're given a particular job and mission. And hopefully we pass it on to our children and we are able to make an impact and fulfill our God-given mission. So the Alter Rebbe continues, we're on top of page 122. So it is not valid to say, concerning the soul's being in essence, that it's in the brain of the head more than in the feet, since its being in essence is not subject to the concept and dimensions of physical space and limitation. So we can't say that it's more in the head than in the feet. It's therefore impossible to attribute the soul this limitation of being more in the head than the feet. Rather, rather, the 613 kinds of functional powers and vital forces are included within the soul, within its being and essence, to become actualized and to emerge from this concealment and inclusion within the soul's essence. So previously we said, while still included within the soul's essence, they are only in potentia and therefore hidden within the soul. Not even as functional powers which are revealed as such while still included within the soul. In other words, within the soul is concealed a potential for the 613 functional powers. You might recognize that number, 613. We're going to get to that in a moment. So there's 613 functional powers to become actualized and to emerge from concealment, meaning to become revealed. When a baby's born, all the abilities that it will later have in life are there, but he has to learn how to walk. Okay, hearing, he probably hears, but he doesn't know how to, he or she doesn't know how to process it yet. Even seeing is a new thing. Baby comes out, they're blinking, the light's too bright, they put some kind of ointment on the kid, right? And then slowly the child begins to see and hear, but they don't know how to talk yet. They can make noises. So all these different organs have the potential to work, and they will work, God willing, very well. The feet will walk. It will help the feet and the legs will help the kid walk, and the arms will be used, and everything will be used. By the way, we can take it one step further. If you don't know how to play an instrument, do you have the ability to play an instrument? The answer is yes, but we haven't reached that potential yet. You'd have to learn it. Do you know how to dance? Do you know all these incredible dance moves? If you don't, you could do it, but you just haven't learned that skill set yet. You haven't trained that limb and the organs and the muscles within them to learn how to do it. By the way, you could apply the same thing to Torah learning. Rabbi Akiva learned how to read Aleph Beis, Gimel Dalet Hey at the age of 40 years old, and he became one of the greatest Torah geniuses, scholars, and leaders in the history of the Jewish people. So we have the power, and the soul is behind that power, giving the organs, the brain, the mind to expand, the power to reach that potential. But we got to put in the effort on our own also. So weiter in the Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says that so where does the number 613 come from? We all know 613 mitzvahs. We're going to read the 10 Commandments, which represents the Torah laws, the 613 mitzvahs. We're going to read on Monday, June 2nd, which is the first day of Shavuos, and everyone should hear the reading of the 10 Commandments. It's very, very important. The Lubavitcher Rebbe encouraged all men, women, and children. You could say, but a baby doesn't understand what's going on. It doesn't matter. The baby has a soul, and the soul hears, and the soul gives potential to the ears and the brain to be able to ingest what it's hearing. And later on in life, we have no idea what and how things manifest when a little baby hears the words of Torah and of the 10 Commandments. So where do we have this 613? I'm getting a little off track. But we have the 248 organs and 365 blood vessels of the body, and together they add up to 613. Like, boom, amazing. So in order to animate the 248 organs and the 365 blood vessels of the body through the functional powers of the divine soul, becoming enclosed within the animated or vital soul, which also possesses the corresponding 248 and 365 functional powers and vital forces. So if you understand how your body works, we can appreciate it. And tomorrow we're gonna do the analogy. We're gonna explain the analogy how this is the way just like the soul animates and vitalizes the physical body, the 248 organs and 365 blood vessels of the body, so too God, being the soul, animates the physical world, the entire world. So if you understand how our body works, we can appreciate how Hashem works. God made the body mirror in microcosm his relationship with the world. You have a soul, which is in essence without definition. It contains in it the possibility to energize all of our limbs, all of our organs, all of our functions, all of our anything that we go through. Our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions, our traumas, our past experiences, our memories, our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations, our inspirations. So that's what the soul gives us, the power, and the soul being God, a portion of God which is inside of us. Similarly, Hashem is undefined, yet containing the energy for all that matters. We cannot define Hashem. Hashem is limitless, but nevertheless, Hashem contains all the energy for everything that matters, for everything that exists, for everything that can possibly ever be. And that is, listen, this is a very, very powerful concept, but it brings us one step closer to that this thing is very near to us. We can love Hashem, we can appreciate him, understanding that he gives the power and the ability for every single thing. You know, we could marvel at a cell phone, we can marvel at the way a car works, we can marvel at a plane flying in the sky. Every single thing comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he created us to be able to do a mitzvah, and he also gives us tools to make life easier and sometimes more challenging, more distracting. So we have to realize what it's all about and what's the important thing, and that is to do mitzvahs, to bring godliness into the world, to continue to create the dwelling place for him. And we do that by learning and sharing with our families and going to work and, exercising and doing everything that we have to do within the world, not staying away from the world, sitting up on a mountain, meditating. No, that's not what it's all about. We have to be very, very involved, but all the while utilizing everything within our power to elevate the world and bring it closer to Hashem and make it a more spiritual and godly place. So thank you all for joining, and we'll see you, Miss Shem, tomorrow. Yuda, a special thanks to you for being with me in person. and for being such a good friend. Take care, guys. All the best.